"You will not stop me. Soon, Darth Vader will become more powerful than either of us." These simple words spoken by the newly crowned Galactic Emperor to the former Grand Master of the Jedi have been either overlooked or misunderstood for a long time now. The reason being that despite what he just stated, it never seems like Sidious is at all eager to relinquish his position to his apprentice, as it is stated in the Rule of Two. Never does he want to submit to Darth Vader. In fact, it seems quite the opposite. Palpatine takes extensive measures to keep Vader in his place, constantly seeks for replacements, and overall seems to almost disregard his apprentice at every chance that Vader isn't immediately proving useful, all while smiling to him and pretending to be his friend. Despite having Vader as an apprentice and spending a great deal of time trying to get Anakin into the role of Darth Vader, we never actually see Sidious training Anakin or Vader in any capacity whatsoever. For the most part, it seems that Vader just follows Sidious's orders for whatever mission or errand he needs him to run at any given moment. This too is contradicted by the fact that Sidious puts on a facade of training by occasionally offering Vader a couple of wise words and talking him out of making poor decisions. However, any form of training is very hands-off on behalf of Palpatine, and we can't help but wonder and ponder on exactly why this is. Why, after everything he went through to acquire Anakin as his new Sith apprentice, has Sidious not bothered to actually give him any formal training that we have witnessed? Well, perhaps today we have the answer to this long-awaited question. First though, according to our analytics, many of you haven't subscribed to us yet. Don't worry, we won't make the same mistakes that Sidious made, and we will train you in the ways of the Force. Just hit the subscribe button for daily Star Wars content just like this. Now, students of the Force and acolytes of the galaxy, let us begin. When Sidious said that Darth Vader would become more powerful than either himself or Yoda, he meant it. At this point in time, Sidious was still abiding by the Rule of Two doctrine, and after many years, he believed that he had finally found the ultimate apprentice, the final, most powerful Sith Lord of them all, Darth Vader. Ever since he met young Anakin on Naboo after single-handedly ending the droid crisis by destroying the Trade Federation control ship, Palpatine always meant it when he said that he would be watching Anakin's career with great interest. During that conversation, he could likely feel the Force itself dripping off of Anakin's very being. The Chosen One had arrived, and Sidious didn't have to do much just yet. He knew the boy was far too resilient for the Jedi to work with, and the work would be done for him by the Jedi's dogma and disillusioning the boy. Of course, with careful prodding and subtle manipulations over the years, at the end of the Clone Wars, it was finally time for all of his manipulations to pay off. After he had witnessed a bit of Anakin's anger in the battle with Dooku before, Palpatine organized his own capture and instructed Dooku to take out Obi-Wan early in their duel so that he could watch and gauge Anakin's power for himself firsthand. He also told Dooku to goad Skywalker into the dark side. Soon though, Dooku was forced on the back pedal and actually began fighting for his life once he realized that Anakin had crossed that threshold. And finally, with two words, Sidious sealed Anakin's fate, and Dooku's as well. Those two words were "do it." From here, it was a slippery slope, and once Obi-Wan was out of the picture to deal with Grievous, Palpatine finally had Anakin where he wanted him, and Darth Vader was soon born. Everything was going according to plan, and just as Palpatine had perfectly foreseen it, and then Mustafar happened. During the duel with Yoda, Sidious had been focused on finally giving the Jedi Master everything that he deserved. It was only after their duel did the dark side whisper to Sidious, and he felt a great disturbance within the Force. This is why Palpatine stopped looking for Yoda immediately after he quietly said, "I sense Lord Vader is in danger." After Mustafar, Anakin was left irreparably crippled, and Palpatine's plans were left irreparably destroyed. All those years of manipulation and planning practically went down the drain instantly. He had the Empire, sure, and the Jedi were defeated, granted, but his true prize, the immortalization of the Sith through the turned Chosen One, was lost in a literal fiery blaze. As he watched Anakin's burned body writhing around on the operating table, his disappointment was immeasurable and undescribable. He was furious with his apprentice and the fact that he had lost, and now the rule of two could never continue with him in his current state. Yes, Vader's strength in the Force remained, but his form was far too weak, and his emotional state far too erratic for him to ever claim the title of the Dark Lord of the Sith and Emperor of the Galaxy. So as Vader was becoming the technological terror we know today, Sidious came to an important decision. The rule of two was over. It was now time for the rule of one. Sidious's philosophy was to essentially become the ultimate being, the final Sith. He would have cultists and underlings, but unlike the Sith Emperors of old, he would not allow any of them to rise against his might, because they would not be true Sith, simply his followers, his slaves. He saw that he needed to live forever as the only one true Sith Lord. But then, there was still the factor of Darth Vader. Vader was far too powerful to be thrown away without nary a thought, and yet far too weak to become the ultimate Sith that Sidious had dreamed of. The relationship between them had now become a very complicated one. Sidious tried time and time again to put plans in place to have Vader destroyed. However, each of them fell through as Vader proved to be too powerful to simply be defeated by any other Force wielder. And yet, Vader could never overthrow the Emperor at all by himself. They were at a stalemate. They both knew exactly what the other was thinking, and Vader even called Palpatine out on trying to replace him several times, but neither could overcome the other. They were stuck with each other. Now they had to simply play the game and pretend to be friends as they entered a secret race to outpace the other. Palpatine tried many times to find a suitable apprentice, but no other being even matched Vader's strength, much less exceeded it. So he had to do with the next best thing, which was keeping Vader as down as low as possible. He made sure that his suit was weakening and uncomfortable as he could, and this is where we finally circle back to the topic at hand. He kept as many secrets from Vader as possible, secrets of the dark side that Sidious would have willingly given to a fully formed Darth Vader, but now he was so much less. This is the revelation as to why he never trained him. He forced Vader to reteach himself lightsaber combat and how to utilize the dark side to his own advantage, without Palpatine's direct help. Palpatine refused to teach him formally, in fact, and because of this, Vader would never uncover the secrets that Sidious knew. In the past, Sith Lords kept knowledge from their apprentices in order to make them struggle for it so that they would get stronger. They would feed their apprentices just enough knowledge for them to keep going. However, this instance was much different. It was no longer the rule of two, it was the rule of the one true Emperor. And Sidious was determined to ensure that his rule was an everlasting one. He could not let Vader uncover the secrets of the dark side and use them to become stronger or overthrow Sidious, believing Vader to be an inferior ruler. And because of this, he told Darth Vader very, very little as pertaining to the secrets of the Sith. Many wonder why Vader doesn't upgrade his suit or take the risk of switching out of his systems to an upgraded version. Well, his condition was so severe that he couldn't survive more than a few seconds without his breathing systems and his life support system. This being the case, he didn't trust droids or humans to be fast enough to complete the transfer, and he wasn't strong enough to sustain himself in the Force long enough for this transfer to happen. However, suppose that Vader had the knowledge of Sith sorcery and alchemy that Sidious hoarded for himself. Perhaps this transfer would not only be successful, but Vader would become far, far more powerful. Palpatine knew this. He knew that if he trained Vader at all, then his apprentice would figure out how to best sustain himself and fashion a superior armor that was powerful enough to restore his physical form and get out of under Sidious's thumb. But I'm sure you are all saying, wouldn't Sidious want this? And to that I say, by now, Sidious did not. You see, the rule of two was absolute, and Sidious no longer thought the rule of two to be necessary. He believed that he was the last of the line of the rule of two, and the chosen Sith Ari. After the rise of the Empire, Sidious watched Vader and noted how unruly he was, how he had no future vision beyond his failures, his dead wife, and his lust for Jedi blood. Vader was unfit to become the Emperor, and Sidious did not trust the Empire that the Sith had been building for 1,000 years in the hands of someone as emotional as Vader was. So my friends, what are your thoughts on this explanation? Do you ever wonder why Sidious never trained Darth Vader? And do you agree with our assessment? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments down below. And as always, may the Force be with you, and we will hopefully see you in the next video.